I'm John Krieger. I don't know about you, but I hear all the time people talking about being addicted to their technology. And today I want to take a look at that and see if that may be a reality. When you think about technology and the way it's used, I want to compare it to the way that drugs and alcohol are diagnosed and look at the criteria for substance use disorder and think about that in terms of the way that our technology is used. The first one, using longer and larger amounts than intended. Now, when a person begins to use their technology, very often they go on it with the idea that they're going to look one thing up, and then what happens is they just go on and on and on. How many times have you said to someone, or has someone said to you, are you almost done? And you say, oh yeah, I'll be with you in just a couple of minutes. Let me just finish this little piece. And then the next thing you know, an hour, hour and a half later, you're still sitting there. And then you get mad at them because they're not patient with you. So we have to look at this and think about, are we using it in larger amounts and longer than we intend? The next one of the criteria would be a desire to cut down or stop using. And how did that work for you? An awful lot of times we think about, we want to develop good habits. We want to develop new ways of doing things. But for us, the reality for us is that in spite of the want, what do we tend to do? We continue to use it equally to what we were using it before or in greater amounts. So we have to think about what's the implications of this. The next one's time spent getting, using, and then recovering from your use. How many times do people do this? They go out and get the game. They will spend an inordinate amount of time maybe waiting for the store to open. They want to be the first to get the game. They go get the game. They bring it home. They use it all weekend long. And then on Monday, they have to call out sick because they didn't get any sleep over the weekend because they were playing video games all weekend. Or if you think about it, just in the fact that how many times do you sit there in your living room in the evening and you're on your device and you know that you need to get up for a meeting tomorrow, or you need to do something that's going to require your time and attention. But what do? You stay on your device for an extended period of time, and then you wonder why you're not ready for it. And it's time getting it, using it, and then recovering from it that we have to look at. The next one's cravings and compulsion. Have you ever put your phone away and said, I just need to, leave it down for a period of time, and then what happens? Oh, gee, I think I heard something. Oh, I think, I put it in my pocket, but I think I heard it buzzing, so I better check it. Or on vacation, right? I leave it in the room. Well, maybe I better not leave it in the room. Maybe I better take it with me. And then what happens? You end up looking at it anyway and going for it. Do me a favor if you would. Take your device and just put it in a drawer somewhere. Just take it and put it out of sight. Give you a couple minutes to do it. All right, now, what I want you to do is I want you to leave it there until we finish. And see what you notice. See what feelings you get. What comes up for you in the process of doing that. Technology is addictive because it's made that way. There are certain neurochemicals, certain chemicals in the brain that are released that basically trigger us to want to use it more and more. Dopamine is one of the primary substances, for those of you who know what that is. But, again, dopamine is the neurotransmitter that reinforces us to do things over and over again that we should do, because if you get a good feeling for something, you want to do it again. We get some satisfaction out of the technology that we use. So we have to think about this as far as it being compulsive. Maybe failure at work, home, and school because of our technology use. Are we paying attention to everything that we should? Are we paying attention to our partners, to people around us, to our clients, to our coworkers? We're in the middle of talking to a coworker and all of a sudden a buzz comes in, and what do? You pick it up and it's like, just a second. Oh, okay. Well, where were we? It's like, come on. Can't we leave it down long enough to actually communicate with someone face to face for a period of time? And did you know that if you are on your device and a message comes in and you go out of what you were doing. Say you're working on a plan, you're working on some type of a proposal. Maybe it's a homework assignment, and you leave it down for a period of time because you have to answer the phone. You have to respond. When you come back to it, it's literally going to take your brain 15 minutes to get back to the same level of focus and concentration that you were in when you left it. So it's that time lost. They call it switching cost. The cost of switching from one thing to the next and then back again. As you think about the idea of switching costs, that failure at work, home, or school, it's taking you a lot longer to do things than it should. For a student, if they're working on their homework and a call comes in or a text comes in and they go to check it and then go back to their homework, it's now expanding the amount of time that they need to allocate for their homework. So it's going to add an extra 15 to 20 minutes of focused attention for them to get back to where they were. And chances are that's not the only time they're going to be interrupted during their homework assignment. So you want to think about the idea that it takes a homework assignment that could be maybe an hour, hour and a half, and what's it do? It expands it out to an hour, hour and a half, 2.5, 3 hours. At work, the average employee checks their phone by research about 100 times a day. So we have to think about how much time are we putting in that it's really expanding our time because of the way we're using it. And then relationship problems. Do any of you have relationship problems where your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever it is you're involved with in the relationship, and it could be friends, are constantly saying to you, listen, I would like to have your attention. Could you put your phone away for a while because I'd like to talk to you about this. This is really important. And what do you say to them? I will, but let me keep it out here in case somebody calls. Or I'll be right with you in 1 second. I know what you're going to have to talk about is important, but let me just take care of this first. What's more important, the phone or them? So we have to think about in relationship problems. Many divorces today are there because of the fact that people have just stopped talking to each other. They stopped communicating with each other. In serious relationships, committed relationships, you have individuals that are no longer involved with the other person. They're more involved with their technology. How many times do you go to bed at night where one person sits there and is on their computer or on their phone in bed and the other person is getting ready to go to sleep? So it really is cutting down on our communication where we're not reading facial cues appropriately. We're not really paying attention to the other person with the in-depth need that's there. With relationship problems, we have to think about the commitment that we make in our relationships. And again, I'm just talking about friendships. How much do we spend time actually talking to them? Or do we text back and forth and we think that's sufficient? When you sit with another person for a period of time, 15, 20 minutes or more, you actually begin to regulate with them. Your heart rates begin to regulate together. There's some physical bonding that occurs. So it's important to think about what are we missing when we're on our devices? I think we're missing a lot. And then abandonment of social, occupation, or recreational activities. How many of you have things that you're not doing today that you used to enjoy? How many of you have hobbies? How many of you, take on various committee commitments, organizational commitments in your church or in maybe a food bank or some other thing in the community that you used to maybe enjoy? How many of you have given up gardening because it just takes too much time and it's getting in the way of your gaming or getting in the way of your other activities online? Are we really giving things up? Are we as committed to our job as we used to be? Are we finding as much out of it as we used to get out of it? What's it doing to us? Are we involved with recreational activities? How many of us are involved with teams or playing sports or get involved with some kind of community events? And then the use of it in spite of dangers. How many times do we use it in the car when we say we know we're not supposed to, Let me just glance at this for a minute. How long does it take for a child to walk out into the street in front of us? And not all of the dangers, and this is one that I think about all the time when I think about these items. I think about the slow dangers that it presents. How many times where you were supposed to be working out, but you got involved with something online or something on your computer or your phone, and you just didn't have the time to do it? Or making a meal that would be better for you than throwing something together because you didn't take the time to do it. We have to think about the dangers here. And some of it is physical. If we spend our time looking at our phone, what position is our neck in? It's in a downward position, and there's actually a thing today called tech neck, right? Where individuals have actually developed calcification in the vertebrae in the back of their neck. I've even heard of a report of some individual who had to have surgery on his thumb from texting so much that he blew the tendon out in his thumb. So we have to look at it and say, is this really what we want out of our lives? What we're talking about here is using it when it's contraindicated, either physically or psychologically contraindicated. The more time, too, that you spend on your devices, you're not spending it doing things to enhance yourself physically or psychologically. I'm sure that some of us are looking up things online that will help us to function better or whatever. Maybe a new exercise program. On our devices, we're sitting. We're not moving around. We're not doing things that we should be doing. If you're going out and walking in the morning and you've got your phone in hand and you're reading something or whatever and you're walking with headphones on, that actually puts you in danger because you're not aware of your surroundings. You're not aware of who's around you. And psychologically, we know that what we're seeing, especially with young people today, the more they use their technology, the more they're finding themselves depressed, anxious. So we have to think about what are the implications here. And then you got tolerance. The more you tend to use it, the more you tend to want to use it because you're not getting the same stimulation out of it you got when you first started using it. When they do things like continuous scroll, it's so you don't have a break. It used to be when you would look something up, you'd look it up, you'd come to the bottom of the page, and that would be it. But on the new phones, on the new programs, what they figured out is if they can keep it rolling so that you see one thing after the next, that you're going to stay on it as long as you can tolerate. I think about the videos that we watch or the TV programs that we watch where one goes right into the next one, right into the next one. You don't have to load it up yourself. They do it for you. And it's to keep you engaged. It's just to keep you on there. Because the longer they keep you on there, the more that your eyeballs are on the screen, the more they can sell to advertisers. Tech companies don't really sell computers. They don't really sell phones. They really are selling your eyeballs to their advertisers. And the last one's withdrawal. How many of us have used our phone for an extended period of time, and then you put it away and you can't wait till the next time when you use it? Now, we don't think about it in those terms. You put your phone in the drawer, you put it away somewhere, and you say, okay, on vacation here, I'm not going to use my phone so much. And what happens is you start feeling that loss. You start feeling that empty space. Because guess what? We get a kick. We get a hit from our phones. It's that dopamine reinforcement that we get. Now, with withdrawal also, if you are away for a period of time, some of the research is showing that it takes about 2 to 3 days to detox from your technology. And if you give it up for a period of time, that's a positive thing. But the thing I would also say to you is you don't have to necessarily give it up for extended periods to have benefit. If you were to take and look at your phone and say, I'm only going to set 4 times during the day when I'm going to check my email rather than checking it all the time throughout the day. So I'm going to set an alarm for 4 times during the day. I will check it and give myself a half hour each time to actually respond to the emails. And if it's something really important, then you can put that on your schedule to make sure that it gets done. But if we schedule things rather than just doing it arbitrarily, it's less invasive, it controls us less, and we control it more. Some other things you can do is don't make it so accessible to you. When you go to bed at night, put it out in the living room, put it out in the kitchen, let it charge while you're there. I hope this has been worthwhile for you. I hope that you'll get back to me and let me know your thoughts, your concerns, or any criticisms you may have on any of this. But I look forward to hearing from you. And take care of yourselves. Be well.